Welcome to your astro natal chart report. This is the Peace Dealer. I am very grateful that you not only trusted me to do this, but we're doing an arrangement like this. This is the first reading I've done where I'm reading an entire family structure in one chart. And I'm really grateful because there's a way I want to intertwine all this together. One thing that fascinates me in astrology is synastry and compatibility. And the ultimate synastry and compatibility I ever see is between families. Oh my gosh, like the stuff that the parents, the children inherit from the parents and that the children share together is honestly mind blowing. And I made sure to study a little bit each of the charts before. And yeah, I hope this blows your mind because this is all, even just between you and Jeremy is mind blowing. So yeah, let's go. First off, we see that you have your sun on Neptune. One thing that almost every single member of your family have is that you're all aliens. So that just kind of blew my mind. I was like, why is it always the Capricorn woman giving birth? Why is it always the alien goddess Capricorn woman giving birth to all these like ridiculously powerful children? But like, my bad. That sentence may sound biased, right? Because there's all sorts of people who give birth, but nah, I really hold to that. Like right off the bat, we see Mars and Pluto on your rising and Neptune on your sun, and all this stellium here, which just screams of gangster, just crone goddess right here. We see you have the Kundalini goddess rising with the exalted soul. So what pattern I want to open up first is how you and Jeremy are Pluto Scorpio, and then all your kids are Pluto Cap. The Pluto Scorpio gen gave birth to the Pluto Cap, and then there's your first son who has 29. Your Elliot's chart is interesting. I almost popped up out my seat like, who is this man? So yeah, 29 degrees Pluto and Sag in the 12th house is ridiculous. Okay, we need to talk about his chart. But before we get to there, I wanted to show you how we see the Pluto Capricorn progression. Pluto Sagittarius, and this is cool because you and I are Pluto Scorpio. I was born 90, so a bit after you, but Pluto Scorpio, we're here to destroy society. Yeah, it's as dark as it sounds. Basically, we're going to be responsible for demolishing everything that society has brought up to this point. And only things that were built in purity will stay. And then you have Pluto Sag, which Elliot seems to be the very last part. You know, Pluto Sag has, of course, from 95, the first part coming up to 2000, Saturn and Aries to Gemini and Cancer. Then you have the last part coming from, of course, Saturn Virgo, which he has his Saturn in Virgo, where Pluto gets ready to go into Capricorn. And this Pluto Sagittarius generation creates the new world. These are some of the most advanced children in human history. And I hold myself to that. And then Pluto Capricorn, these are the rulers of the new world. I mean, we see George has Pluto on the North Node. That's a problem in a good way. Not in a bad way, but just in a, oh my gosh. And he's a gangster. See? I'm sorry. I'm just not used to seeing an entire family of aliens and gangsters. I know that sounds weird, but like it is entirely super rare to see this. So I'm just kind of mind blown right now, but it's cool. It's cool. Now that we know that you and Jeremy are king and queen, that's the first thing I want to start. Pure Scorpio rising queen, pure royalty, and he's the main character, solar royalty, as a high spirit celestial king, Aquarius sun and Capricorn sun. All right, which are the upper echelon sun signs. Aquarius, he manifests your worth and you transcend a lot of his direction, which we'll get more into, but that's the first thing we want to establish. And the Pluto Capricorns are the rulers of the new earth. If Pluto Sag is the creators, the Pluto Capricorns are going to have a business plan by like 15 years old, just like criticizing the older generation, like, oh, yeah, and they're going to be, I can see this generation coming into politics younger, like it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. This is one, Pluto Capricorn arguably is the most powerful generation before Pluto, Aquarius, the alien babies. So, it's interesting. And I think it's amazing. As a Pluto Scorpio, my parents were Pluto Virgo. So we do see that sextile. And as a Pluto Scorpio, most of your kids are Pluto Cap. So that's the first thing I wanted to get out the way. I wanted to also show how you have 1 degree sun on Neptune. I'm going to give you an article about all these alien constructs because this is a huge deal. Like, not only are you embodying this purity of extreme wisdom, but you have the ability to, of course, manipulate matter, ascend, see through the physical. And, with the Sagittarius stellium adds so much to the ascended mechanic of you using visualization with the integrity of what you see to manifest instantly, straight like that, and communicate it with Mercury. The moon in Taurus is going to represent the solid natural quality of your soul that forms an antenna of natural receptivity towards others. This is a fancy way of saying that people's bodies snitch to you, Queen Danelle. Nobody knows this like you. Yeah, there's what people say in their head, but people's body language snitches to you. Like your moon just feels what their body is saying, and then your sun, Neptune, sees through the mechanics of what lies or illusions they're saying, because you can see through the illusions people tell themselves, and this projects all sorts of stuff on you. Oh, she's a witch. Oh, she's this. No, she's a supernatural alien goddess, and you're scared of her. Okay, it's a very important archetype. I want to do a documentary on this archetype. I will definitely contact you for this Capricorn documentary, because Capricorns in the late 80s and 90s are different. It's almost terrifying. But I wanted to show you how Jeremy has Jupiter and Venus on your sun. That is not a coincidence, especially seeing your Jupiter, which for the woman is the husband, is on his sun. So this double whammy here is crazy. And it's also good to know that in an odd way, this links both of you together, because your South Node is on your rising, just like you have this embodiment where his moon is. So both of you, in a sense, did know each other in a past life. We don't have to take it that specifically, but we do see early childhood development mirroring each other. And I do want to hold out. You did have some kind of karma. It's like in an abstract sense, both of you came here together to meet and create these children. My father is an Aries with a Virgo moon on Pluto. So what Jeremy and my dad have in common is that he has a bit more sauce here. Saturn, Mars, Pluto. This dude is like an extreme underworld gangster archetype soul level. It doesn't mean that he has to be a gangster, but Saturn and Pluto, especially with the god of war Mars here, makes for one of the most extremely dark souls possible. And this doesn't have to be a bad thing. This could be depth of wisdom that he's able to really sniff in order to feel people's true intentions. But my father is also someone who remarried and has a new family now. He divorced my mom. So I thought that was interesting, because Pluto moon archetypes are like demon souls. And I don't say that I don't hate my father. Like, I don't necessarily have anything against him, but I learned a lot about the Pluto archetype just through people like serial killers, robbers, people who are kind of in trouble for shootings mostly have Moon Pluto. Now, Moon Pluto also has some of the wisest Jesus-like sages ever. So it's not necessarily just one polarity. A lot of it is the corruption. Pluto moons have extreme depth of soul that can lead them to be very secretive, private, and if there's no integrity here, it's a lot of karma that he's meant to understand. I actually personally have Moon Saturn, so I'm familiar with that alien construct. I'm going to give you that article, but I just wanted to share that similarity. Like you, he also has Uranus in Sagittarius, but the concentration of his mind and heart in Capricorn are what connected both of you together. Both of you expand each other. And I think that's really interesting to see the nodal alignments here. Him as a Leo rising, expressing himself as the main character and very boldly and passionately. You as the Kundalini goddess here with wisdom and representing this psychological approach with your soul that can literally delineate, of course, body language movement just like that. And that's another thing. Both of you have partner moons, opposite moon signs, which I thought was also really cool. So if we go into Elliot here, Elliot is Wow. I don't know what else to say. Like, the Zeus on the rising is a thing. Okay, like this is the first now line. First of all, we've established that you and Jeremy have very powerful alien constructs, and we see your son is no different. Okay, he definitely inherited that. All right, Jupiter. First of all, he inherited your dad's Jupiter position. All right. Northwest inherited Kanye West's Jupiter position. So it's really like this, seeing things like this make me know that nothing is random. You know what I mean? Like, we could look at it as a coincidence, but family synastry between parents and children are the most fascinating thing to me, period. Anyway, we see that your son is a director at the God level. He embodies integrity with the not only instrumental quality of Zeus, but the vessel. So he is a vessel conduit, an instrument of evolution. Pluto within proximity of this, you could read the Pluto instrument alien, but in the 12th house, this is going to give him either ridiculous trust issues coming out of early childhood, or just being super misunderstood. Because Pluto at 29, any planet at 29 degrees is mastery, but when you put the 12th house here, first of all, it connects to his heart. Pluto Venus in Scorpio is an extremely deep, intense heart that loves too obsessively or is just cold and uninterested. When you put it in Sagittarius, it has that extreme quality, but now it's wanderlust and wildfire. That with the variable, if Scorpio is fixed, with the variable nature of Sag, this could create addictions where he needs an outlet for his wanderlust. And thankfully, Mars opposite here extremely intensifies the intellect. This could be sapiosexual in nature, in the sense where he desires his mind to be stimulated, but he's not just going to tell, he's going to show. And I think that opposition is very masterful. If Gemini is the word in the dictionary, Pluto is what it means, and a lot of his true actions or actions that he takes off of his ideas can enlighten him to the hidden meaning behind see, Pluto 29 degrees is an extreme supernatural quality of clairvoyance that will look crazy. I'm sorry. Thankfully he's grounded and he has a mastermind here. I have 29 degrees Mercury in Taurus, and it helps me enunciate my words and slow down my processing. So 28 degrees Mercury in Capricorn is a mastermind that's able to control and organize his thoughts. And with the power of his sun here, this is a very powerful individual. He's a collective. All right, sun, moon, and rise. If it was sun, moon, and rising in Taurus, he'd be an individual. If it was sun, moon, and rising in Virgo, he'd be a master social being. But he's sun, moon, and rising in Capricorn. He's a god. When Kanye West said, "I told you who I thought I was, a god," he had the god Zeus on his sun. It's a god construct. I call it alien construct. We could say lowercase g, but your son Elliot is a G, just like you and Jeremy. Okay, whereas we see Jeremy has more vessel contact, your son Elliot has it all. And I think it's very interesting that he is the oldest. Very, very mind-blowing. We see the North Node and Neptune in his second. He is destined to manifest a very transcendent and unconventional network of people. He manifests healing through his knowledge. All right. This is a very powerful chart. And the presence of Zeus is the vessel quality of how he will have a form of the Midas touch, which is exclusively Taurus, but he will evolve everything that he touches. The thing here is Jupiter is in its fall in Capricorn. It's in its exaltation in Cancer. So once he, of course, has become 12 and has now gained the Jupiter return, something like this is like 2008 and 2020 were both times the S&P fell and dropped because Jupiter's in its fall. It comes to its peak 2019, Jupiter Sag and its dignity, boom, we have a fall period. So the reason why that's very key is that's not really going to affect his personality. It's just going to add to the godly power he's able to harness. Chronos trining this is also going to really add a lot of critical perspective to his philosophy, but it's going to clash with his more free heart, free-spirited heart. And what is in between that with Uranus is the very, very, very unconventional nature of how he imagines his reality. This opens up reality warping in the most unconventional ways. And if he doesn't have an outlet to express a lot of his hidden visions, it could induce a sense of psychosis where he feels like he doesn't have anyone who understands him. All right. This is not a bad aspect, by the way. It's just extremely stressful if there's no outlet for it. Okay. 12 house placements do lead to addiction because we don't have outlets. What the 12th house represents is a supernatural strength that before converted is a weakness. Okay. For example, I have 12th house Aries. I could be very impatient. I could be super impatient. So as an earth rising, the fire in the 12th house hides the mechanic of, as an earth sign rising, we have resting B face. So like, it's only when we're in the shower, we really let ourselves go. And this is that private space of imagination where he can visualize and really tap into his heart's pleasures. This could be, of course, wanderlust. This could be this need to always move around extremely and do wild things. And that just means that he can express this through writing, through how he integrates action in his lifestyle athletically or not. But Uranus in the third is super unconventional, and it's going to have him be a child prodigy in this life. This is someone who is through and through a genius and can manifest a celestial quality of his intuition so that he can, of course, gain faculty and value over his destiny. Something that once his son progresses on here, of course, 16 means that at 14, he progresses into Aquarius. And then, of course, 14 up until 28 degrees, which is 0 degrees Aqua to 28 years from 14. Boom, he gets there. So his life journey is set for him. And I think as a fellow North Node Aquarius, it's a very amazing destiny to have. That being said, as we move on to George, Mr. George, okay, we do see that your son George is a gangster. I don't know what else to say. First of all, like Jeremy, he has the main character rising. And this is cool because Libra is the next important main character. The two main characters are the lead role, Libra, and the supporting role character. Okay, Libra. I can't make this up. And he has both. He is literally the golden artist. Whoever George is super talented. Literally. But to have Libra in its exaltation may potentially make him one of the most powerful people in the world. Kim Kardashian recently was actually GQ Man of the Year, which is amazing, but she is also one of the most powerful women in the world, and she has Saturn on her sun because Saturn in his exaltation bestows him with a very serious social approach. Like third house Libra is social skills. It's a balanced attitude, but Saturn here makes a lot of what he speaks about not only super serious. The ruler of his sixth is on his sun. And everything Saturn to me is gangster. Let me give you an example. 50 Cent has Saturn on his sun in Cancer. We know how gangster he is. We also know that he sold $100 million selling water, and he has it in a water sign. So Saturn on the sun manifests anything from one's heart into 3D. It's the ruler of the material, symbolically. And Mercury is his megaphone that enables him to enunciate and clarify and communicate the brain processing element towards how he balances and expresses these social skills. We see that with Venus and Mars. He purifies the intensity of this balance, which, of course, thankfully, without the presence of Pluto, isn't too extreme, but is still going to link his heart and desire. This is going to add a much pure, smoother element of wisdom that he can manifest, but it will clash with his soul and how he feels about himself versus what he desires to do intimately and privately. But I'm really liking this. The square to Pluto is going to be very extreme. Pluto squares are not easy. So he is going to deal with the extreme lesson of having his attitude about, socializing and who he is as the golden artist, and then the extreme challenge to integrate those ideals into something real. So he has so much karmic authority. He has authority to really, teach what he teaches about or learn what he learns about, socializing or at least being this artist. But how real can he make it in his lifestyle? That's going to be the perpetual destiny lesson so that he's able to serve others and really transform and awaken the right path people should take in their lifestyles. He's also celestially psychic. He heals other people and can feel, of course, with his emotions on his sleeve, what he knows about others, and it will freak them out, and they will project on him that he's weird when he's a genius level of intellect. That if we now put in context that he is some celestial, godlike being, lowercase g if you want, with the construct here, it's supposed to be weird. He's not. No, I can't really say this is a regular human being. I'm sorry. It is what I can't. I can't say any of you are regular or human. But hey, it is what it is. We see you have Jupiter and Uranus at the end of Pisces, which is just so magic. It might be uncomfortable. So he has to be careful about how he deals with other people, because it's always going to be other people first who see the value that he brings, especially when it comes to expanding on beliefs and helping people to believe in the unconventional. So that's definitely something that the more boundaries he draws as the main character, the better. But the North Node is unlocking his legacy. So at a young age, he's already going to start to use his social talents in order to move in that very authentic direction. Okay. So there, George is a gangster, as we can see. And then we have David here. So David is also a gangster. See, I can't, this is insane. I cannot really get over the Saturn constructs, like Saturn on the sun, Saturn directly opposite the sun. We see you have Saturn next to your Mercury and he has Saturn on the moon. Like, this is not a coincidence. All right. What makes Saturn the gangster to me is Saturn is integrity. So it's doing what you're going to say you do. Whereas George has this conjunction activating this, David completes this through his relationships with other people. So David was born near the end of this Saturn Libra cycle. And this is where he, as the rising, embodies this artistry. Okay. George has the spirit, an expression, an attitude of the artist with integrity. Okay. And David is the personality of the artist, even though he has the warrior spirit. He also has this Uranian alien construct, which enables him to channel higher frequency beings. And in the 7th house will absolutely innovate the quality of how he moves forward with other people. But because he is the instrument of this social integrity, it could feel like it's him versus the world, where he does not get a slap on the wrist. He has to maintain this authenticity of dealing with others while also integrating the integrity of his personality as an artist in the way that he harnesses his social personality to dance with other people. And that's something that George and David both have in common with Jeremy. All three of them have social personalities. Actually, you have a social personality too. You have a social personality. And it's Elliot that has the collective personality. So social personality, social personality, social personality, social personality. Jesus Christ. So with that being said, David expresses his social personality by inserting his spirit directly towards other people. All right. This is a very powerful position. And I'm almost mind blown that we have an exact 26-degree opposition. This is very rare, especially seeing he's a celestial soul at 26 degrees. Okay, this is too weird. This is getting too weird. And his Mars is 3 degrees. Everything with Virgo is too precise. So your sun is the celestial warrior as an artist. And Saturn here gives him a totality of integrity in expressing this. AKA, your son's a gangster. I'm sorry. He's an alien gangster warrior. I'm sorry. I don't know what else you want to tell me. None of this is normal, especially Neptune so close to the moon. This is someone who is so tapped into the cosmos. He can intuitively understand and know things before his Aries sun is aware of why he even knows. None of that is normal. It is what it is. I just have to be honest. Mars opposite this as well is very funky, because the more he doubts the analysis of why he's taking certain action, the more he's going to suppress his psychic ability, which, according to science, this thing he has is fantasy. Like, your son does not exist according to science. He only exists in science fiction, which tells you a lot about science. But, like, yeah, it's very, very, very mind blowing, this level of precision. Your son is on point. Okay. The thing about celestial warriors is they still harness the instinctual rawness of an Aries spirit, but now their soul enables them to know what they're doing. That's the only difference between an Aquamoon Aries. They're the only Aries that actually knows what they're doing while they're doing, I swear to God. And Uranus innovates so powerfully how unconventional he creates relationships with others. I think it's important to notice he also has a mastermind, just like Elliot. In fact, George almost had the mastermind at 29 degrees. He just leveled up into artistry. So we see two masterminds. The highest level mastermind you can have is the magical mastermind, 29 degrees Pisces. This is a non-linear representation of processing through imagination instead of through just logic. So Mercury doesn't really like to be here, but it is still super magical. This is someone who can read between the lines, speak to people's souls instead of just their mind. And once again, like, as a 29 degree Mercury myself, I can vouch it is the mastermind. Like, there's no greater processing unit than a 29 degree Mercury. We are just them. And for him to have it at Pisces as the Aries sun requires a bit of faith for how he believes in what he processes. But in tying everything together, especially Venus, that comes from the angelic realm with the South Node, is going to be his philosophical tool towards fulfilling his destiny to speak about the higher meaning of life and his ideas. In that, he's going to be able to, as an artist, show a lot of his ideas, and having that backing of this polished, beautiful mindset really helps a lot as well. Jupiter, second house from a sun, means he will be rich, even though it's in his eighth house. It's going to be more him investing his wealth in the right resources. And I really get a mature, timeless soul here. Okay. In fact, even Elliot is a very old soul, Moon and Cap. And then we see Moon and Aqua right here, which is interesting because Moon and Leo with George, this is a lot more social, fun. Leo is more age 20, 12 to 20. You know, this is where at Leo we leave the parents' house, gain our independence. So he has more youthful, even though he has the serious Saturnian gangster. We want to look at Elliot and, of course, David as having a lot more older, mature souls, even though David has the baby spirit. All right. So George's spirit is going to be more mature than David's spirit. Okay. But David's soul is still going to be celestial in its quality, which I think is really, honestly, super awesome. So with that being said, one thing we want to highlight once again is the Pluto Capricorn theme, where these are the rulers of the new earth. His Pluto that squares Uranus will create extreme difficulty in learning how to balance his pressures privately and with family versus how he expresses that eccentrically towards others. Chiron and Neptune on the 6th is the most supernatural and unconventional way to heal how other people believe they should live their lifestyle. And that's going to highlight unconscious habits he might have to fight to overcome in the 12th. If he gets over analytical or has paralysis of analysis, he'd be better off literally just trusting his intuition, even if in the moment it doesn't make sense. Okay. So it's definitely something to monitor as he grows older, because at some point he will return his power with the Saturn return, and that's going to really speak volumes over what direction he really takes that in. And that, of course, brings us to Rosemary. Rosemary, we see, is the quintessential artist here. Yes, you guessed it, with the social personality. And I like how, similar to David, they both have Libra risings. Y'all are not playing with these social personalities. So, first of all, it'd be interesting to see the Leo risings relationship with the Libra risings, because Leo and Libra are best friends. It is the lead role and supporting character, love and relationships. But I love seeing how Rosemary embodies artistry, sun and moon. Okay. She is the balance. And what's really key here is she also has a very powerful T square cross. Being born 1990, we were the last ones to have Jupiter in its exaltation in Cancer. It feels so good. So her in 2013 having this with Pluto and Capricorn is so much more extremely powerful. And then her having Uranus opposite the Libra power is super unconventional. So if she just had the sun and moon in Libra, boom, classic artist. Similar to, of course, your other two sons, this is definitely someone, and that's cool because like David, she has the Libra rising, and like George, she has the Libra sun. So it'd be very interesting to see how those two, those three get along, because she is the balance. She is the justice card. And she is the soul embodiment and spirit of not just artistry, but fairness. So when Uranus is here in the 6th, 7th, this will juxtapose more so her relationship with other people, regardless of who it is, and the unconventionality of authenticity and the eccentricities that she will draw out in other people. One thing during that 2013 decade that I noticed with countless Libra suns and risings who I gave readings with, whenever I would ask, hey, Uranus in your 7th, is it attracting weird and crazy people? They would always interrupt me and be like, peace dealer, you have no idea. I'm attracting the weirdest people. So to be born with this is an unconventional eccentricity monitor that draws out the weirdest parts of people. Should they not have the integrity to actually, hold themselves accountable, this will, similar to, I want to say, also David, okay? And even though, George has this at the end of Pisces. So this is going to affect David and Rosemary. And what I really love too is David experiences the 7th house aspect of this, where Rosemary experiences the 1st house. Both David and Rosemary in a lot of ways are partners. In a lot of ways, both of them have air moons, so they can connect intellectually, where he's going to be more knowledgeable. She's going to be more cardinal in her social actions and understanding how to balance. But I really like that dynamic. He's going to be more aware of other people and directing other people. She's going to be more aware of how her social personality balances that and holds space for the authenticity of other people. So that's where Uranus is going to be difficult. This is going to be establishing relationships that are not traditional and that really help polish how eccentric other people can be without, holding or suppressing that back. All right. And it's just her presence that will stimulate this. But now when we take Pluto and Jupiter, this takes a lot of what David faced with the Pluto in the 4th. And now, of course, completes it with Jupiter expanding here. Jupiter on the MC is such a blessing because she's definitely someone who's always going to move forward and expand higher and higher when it comes to her career and when it comes to success. One of the most notable examples of Jupiter on the MC is Michael Jordan. When comparing LeBron to Michael Jordan, LeBron, who has Mars on his MC in Pisces, versus Michael Jordan has Jupiter on his MC in Pisces, you can see Michael Jordan is still talked about today. All right. It really pronounces a lot of the expansive quality of one's reputation. And to see that in its exaltation, 10th house from the sun means that she's going to be able to make the world feel at home. This is someone who's able to provide this expansive, nurturing quality to, of course, the direction she takes her vocation. But Pluto is what's going to create the extreme private space to make sure that she's coming at it from the purest place. And that brings us to her 2nd house, because I think similar to you, actually, with Saturn in the 2nd, she has Saturn next to her 2nd house cusp on destiny with Mercury and Venus, which I think is something that Elliot has in common, both of them manifest destiny. And whereas, of course, Capricorn, right, as a cardinal rising has Aquarius knowledge, well, Libra has wisdom. Rosemary got the sauce, just like David got the sauce. But there's a lot more sauce focus with Rosemary here. The way she communicates, the way she's destined to align the integrity of her wisdom, and of course, how she polishes it with Venus will secure a lot of wealth should she maintain that integrity of wisdom. Could even open up billions of dollars, especially with Jupiter here. But what's more important is about the purity of her values, which she's going to take very seriously. And will open up with the South Node in Taurus, not only for investments, but directly connects your soul to her. My mom and I have opposite nodes. So when we see opposite nodes between people, especially parents, both of you have been in each other's lifetimes before. This is not your first lifetime together, okay? And it's interesting to see where your destiny is to establish this natural quality of value through the soul of others, taking apart your wisdom. Her destiny is to establish and manifest this wisdom coming into investments from other people. It's like gaining trust for people to invest their money for the sauce that she's cooking up. And Saturn is the totality of worth she has the ability to own, which could make it very difficult the first 30 years of her life to overcome self-esteem issues. But once she returns that, it's a wrap. She'd probably have the strongest confidence ever. But it's important to know that, especially with the ruler of her entire chart being in the second, her superpower is to manifest the sauce. She could literally drip and put her sauce on anything and make it that much more pure. All right. And that's where Mercury connecting with Neptune and, of course, Chiron here, similar to David, add to this psychic potential relative to how the purity and wisdom of her brain connects to how imaginative her intuition opens up, connecting her she can heal others with her imaginative ideas, and also how she can be intuitively led to link healing with her work. Even if she is not formally doing nursing or healing, if she decides to be a graphic artist, her portraits will heal people and the way they imagine and believe. Okay. So very, 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 very interesting once again, especially seeing the Mars and Leo. This is a very powerful chart, very, very powerful chart. And I feel like a whole lot of how, she is getting ready to develop now that the South Node is actually in Libra, is unlocking a lot of her personality that we'll see here with, of course, George with his son, and David and Rosemary with their personality really being put in a place to really tie towards where they direct that authenticity. I wanted to pull up this AstroSeek article, but for some reason it's giving me a hard time. I wanted to really just reference and show you the positioning of the South Node, which happens to be at 21 degrees right now. So as we get closer to Aries, that's going to be a huge point. With the eclipse here, the moon is there right now. That's getting ready to unlock a lot of her personality, I think, mainly for the first time since she was born, because she had the North Node Libra, then it's gone around, boom, now the North Node is in Aries. So this is definitely preparing her to unlock her personality, unlock David's personality and direct where he puts his spirit, unlock a lot of George's attitude so that he can unlock his career. All right, very powerful. And that's what leads us to Joshua. the final gangster in this family. What is with these aliens? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I can barely hold my excitement because I've just never done a reading before where every single member of the family is like an alien or alien god. This is crazy. And of course, Joshua had to have the craziest planets. Saturn on the rising, Pluto on the sun, Uranus on the moon. All right. Danelle, who are you? I need to ask who you are because we have already established you're not even human. You're not even like, what is this? What really is this? You had these kids with a celestial alien king. So like, this is like, I'm just mind blown. I'm sorry. Like nothing about this is normal. And I need you to understand that I have full confidence that this was all planned before you were born. Like you guys planned to bring these kids here. That's what helps me understand like my parents separating because, you know, I've never really seen them necessarily. I'm not going to say that, but personally, I'm going to say like, I feel like they were just meant to give birth to us. And then of course my dad did his thing. I don't necessarily respect how he did it, but I don't have any resentment towards him because, you know, at the end of the day, he gave birth to me and my sisters. And I feel like certain people, I mean, everyone in a sense, but I just feel like, thank goodness you have these children because they're all movers and shakers. And it's just very interesting what they've inherited from you and of course Jeremy. But Jesus Christ, Joshua is on one. This is wild. This is as wild as his personality. Sag rising now puts Joshua on the same level as Elliot, where not only are both of them like super caps. Oh my God. But we see that they're both Capricorn God aliens. Okay. I use the term God loosely. I'm going to use it in the way Kanye used it because it's referencing the alien God constructs. All right. Zeus, in this case, he has Hades. But the reason why this is very important, I'm going to give you this alien construct article, my friend. This alien chart article will kind of reference all of these different power alien, vessel aliens. Please make sure you read that because there's going to be one for each and every single one of you. Save maybe, of course, Rosemary. But Rosemary already is still powerful in her own right, just being the true artist. Joshua was like, nah, you giving me every construct. I want all the alien constructs. Jesus Christ. Like Jupiter with precision on the north node is nuts. That is crazy. There's nothing over that. That is crazy. Your son is so on point. He has Jupiter on it. Like that is crazy. I'm sorry. It is what it is. I don't know what to say. So it's enough that he already has an ascended personality. Sun in the second means your son is a boss. Like your son is going to manifest effortlessly. In fact, I can imagine with Pluto here, he wants all the smoke. Like this is probably someone who had a serious, I don't know, but like just like Elliot. And what I love here is Elliot and Joshua are the only members of your family that have God level personalities. Elliot has the director rising. And Joshua has the ascended being. He's an ascended being, but Saturn is on his rising. So his heart is on his sleeve, but he's a gangster with it. Saturn meaning that he is very serious about his approach. And the more he steps into that integrity, not only the more powerful will he be, the ruler of his second house is on his rising, but he has the power of this spiritual integrity with Mercury here, which enables his brain to connect directly to the outlet of how he expresses his spirit. And I've actually done, it's so funny, the last reading I've done where a lady had me read like all 5 of her kids, she was a second house Cap Sun. And she talked about how powerful she can manifest things she visualizes. Of course, she was a Pluto Scorpio like you. He is Pluto Cap. This is some of the most extremely God level power manifesting that I didn't even know existed. I don't really read a lot of charts of people born after 2010. And I can't wait to do a whole documentary on this generation because this is borderline ridiculous. Like according to science, these people shouldn't even exist. But like, not only does he have this totality of integrity in the adventurous nature of his personality, and then the extreme awakening. Like Pluto on the sun means that he will awaken people the value of their integrity in terrifying fashion. And then he's the vessel of Uranus. I have this in Capricorn. He can literally channel higher frequency beings, all right, comprehend the cycles of the future. And I've actually done some of this stuff. Read the minds of teenagers. That was my first psychic experience that I did accidentally before I didn't even know that was why. I didn't know anything about astrology. I was like 11 years old. So like, yeah, for him to have this in Aries on the IC is going to very innovate unconventionally how authentically he feels in a home space, and how that's going to direct him towards the balancing of society and the artists he finds himself around. But I just can't lie. Like the North Node on Jupiter in the sign of precision, every time I do readings with Virgo, we always see this insane precision. Jupiter trining his, I can't. This is ridiculous. The ruler of his chart is Zeus. So the fact that it trines his sun means that he will always have this analytical foresight about where to direct his actions towards manifestation. It's like always just having a balance sheet with all the details he needs that expands him forward towards his destiny, especially towards how he criticizes the society around him. Because North Node in the 10th is being destined for success, but he's definitely destined to always change wherever he's around. And that's vague on purpose, because it's not just going to be one thing. It could be literally layers upon layers upon layers of change that just by his presence he induces. This is someone who, of course, is going to bring order with Saturn, a vision, transformation and awakening and destruction of anything that's not pure, and innovation. He is a soul genius within. Very powerful. Aries moon is going to really be that baby soul. However, as mature as his spirit is, as you know, advanced and ascended as his personality is, he's still a baby within at a soul level. Of course, Uranus here is going to add so much unconventionality. Baby meaning that he is mature. He has a lot of maturity, but he is going to be unconventionally instinctual in the way he reacts to things emotionally. Thankfully, there's going to be stability here with the Saturn and Venus, which adds more foresight and perception, but it is definitely something to keep in mind. Especially with Chiron and Neptune opposite Jupiter, you definitely want to make sure he doesn't get disillusioned in his own beliefs around where he belongs or where he's at. Other than that, flawless chart. Very phenomenal chart. I'm still mind blown at seeing the 23-degree Jupiter in the 10th, because that organizes so perfectly with his sun. It's like an uncanny ability to already analyze the details of what actions to take in the moment without having to plug and play the numbers real time. And then if he even decided to do that, he's going to do that with mastery. Mars in Scorpio is going to connect with his Neptune in Pisces, adding an intuitive dynamic to how purely he takes his actions in the 11th with other people, adding to his leadership with this social, of course, legacy. So I'm not going to lie, I had a lot of fun. This was a lot more fun than I could have ever expected. This is why I'll study the charts a little bit, but I like to read them fresh during the recording so you could hear my reaction. A lot of that will be people's standard reaction to just, you know, meeting them and seeing them. All right. I really, this taught me a lot. This taught me a lot. I know I was supposed to be the one doing the reading, but I'm the one that learned a lot by doing this. This is wow, you know, very, very mind blowing. I think a whole lot of how much of this may aim to kind of develop will be seen through, once again, the North Node Aries that will unlock his soul and a lot of his own creative home space. He innovates the creative authenticity of where he finds home, wherever he decides to be at home, which I see Aries means he will be comfortable in spaces where his soul feels authentic and raw. If he feels like he has to hold himself back because it's not classy enough, he's not going to feel comfortable there. But that's what enables him in this raw foundation to be creative and have this unconventional fun, to really polish how he puts himself out there. Because this is someone who will take himself and his heart seriously. It's not just wild. This looks like an ascended general to me. Second house suns are bosses. I have a second house sun in Gemini. You paid me so that I can speak one-on-one and manifest this enlightened information to you. Well, he has this at the director collective God level. People are going to pay him so that he can move corporations and organizations forward, so that he can awaken the right integral direction to move forward with. And it's not on a one-on-one level. Gemini is individual, Capricorn's collective. So this, of course, could be, power and value he manifests for an entire collective, which will add so much to his worth and wealth. Okay. Very, 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 very powerful. All right. So I guess in conclusion, we've seen that you definitely have given birth to some supernaturally powerful children. Cardinal sign. I can't make this up. Cardinal sign. Oh my God, they're all cardinal. This is crazy. So we literally have another cardinal sign. So the only one who's not cardinal is Jeremy, which is very interesting. He's fixed, right? You got the fixed moon. Okay. George has the fixed moon of energy, and David has the fixed moon of energy. All right. Everyone else we see is just cardinals, power. But that is mind blowing to me. You all have cardinal sign children. So this is the power pack. We see two Capricorns, we see two Libras, we see the Aries. All right. 3 directions of power here. And I love that you are the matriarch Capricorn crone here. I love that. That is so beautiful. The pure queen. Every single one of your children are going to bring you so much wealth, even if it looks like the opposite at first. Like there is this very uncanny intertwining of a lot of what you were destined to kind of bring forward through here. So I'd be very interesting to see how this plays out. It's definitely interesting to see a lot of the purity and wisdom at a vessel and soul level that Jeremy has. And I'm really mind blown once again still at the Jupiter receptivity. Jupiter near his sun, his Venus and Jupiter on your sun. Especially seeing a man's Venus on your sun, you activate his heart. That's kind of a lot of what sparked this romance between you two. And just to see the lineup of all the kids you had is mind blowing. Okay, mind blowing. Especially from the progression of Elliot to Joshua. Like you started with the powerful Capricorn and you ended with an even more powerful Capricorn. So, and I don't even want to compare the two. I feel like they're both different types of power, but very mind blowing. I feel like Rosemary, David, and George will play their hand at balancing a lot of these dynamics. Especially, George and Rosemary harnessing a lot of their social personalities. David is social too, but he's as he should, going to be more individual. What David and I have in common is that we're collective individuals. So I have my moon in Cap, he has his moon in Aqua. I have my sun in individual Gemini, his sun is individual Aries. So we have the feeling and soul of everything expressed through one individual being. And that's important because we see that he is the only individual spirit in your family. I don't think that'll lead him to be left out because he is social personality, but this precision is wild, ridiculously wild. And that only features when I see people with Virgo placements. So like, I'm very excited. I really, really, really look forward to your feedback. If you'd ever want to follow up with an actual consultation so you can ask questions, or pretty much just let me know how a lot of these things, or you could just email me as well, the response, because I would definitely love the feedback to this, to know if I was accurate, if I was off on certain things. I still barely just touched the tip of the iceberg here, but still, especially even seeing this opposition with the moon and Neptune, the 29 degree Mercury here, you know, just a lot of standouts in each chart that of course add its own significant and unique quality to such. If we analyze a little bit more here, especially notally, we'll see in the case of, once again, David, he has his Jupiter on your North Node. So his influence will definitely expand quite actively, more abundance towards your relationships and how you move forward in your destiny. All right. Another thing to keep in mind is Pluto. All of your Pluto Capricorn children, including Elliot, because his Pluto is 1 degree away from your Jupiter, all right, from your sun, all right, where him and of course Jeremy actively evolve you. A major facet is their Pluto impacting your sun. You're going to be this conduit of awakening and activating their Pluto. And in Jeremy's case, or rather in Elliot's case, the Jupiter, the evolution, but still Pluto as well. So that I don't think is a coincidence. And it definitely also is very revealing if we look personally for you. Jupiter and Uranus are in your 7th house. So this could, relative to this nodal return you completed, may have facilitate. Normally this is where Scorpio rising and Taurus risings were getting divorced and married, but this is opening the pathway to new relationships for you, especially by May of 2024. May of 2024, we're going to have Jupiter, Uranus, and the sun in your 7th house. Even though it's progressed probably beyond this, you want to be mindful of right now, because now until May could set you up with the people who you're meant to meet to move forward with, or by then you will definitely be moving forward in very unconventional partnerships that you are evolving and are meant to move forward with. Okay, something to keep in mind. You stay blessed as always. Once again, thank you very much for ordering this report. I'm going to get this to ya. And until next time, peace.